ain't gonna talk here. You can drop 10 mirrors. You can have a rabbit's foot. If the rabbit's foot was lucky, it wouldn't have got cut off the rabbit in the first place. Tell me I'm not talking about it. Now think about it for a minute. Think, if the rabbit was really lucky, he would have seen what was coming in his foot when it got cut off. Slap somebody and say, neighbor, don't be foolish. Don't split the pole. If we walking together, you can't split the pole. Devil is a liar. You got to know what it is you believe. Then they say you are Elias. Really, because he did many miracles, and Jesus himself was a miracle. People have so many philosophies. Then they say, well, maybe you are Jeremiah, because they fastened him upon Jeremiah, because Jeremiah was a weeping prophet, and Jesus was most of the time found in tears. Can I deal with that there? You got to know who you are, no matter what folk call you. They saw Jesus in tears, but it did not mean he was weak. Every time you cry doesn't mean you weak. That's a sign of release. Sometimes you need to release. Just because you cry doesn't mean you're hopeless or helpless. Give me power, baby. Look at somebody and say, just because you cry, it doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're worthless. It doesn't mean you're hopeless. They saw Jesus in tears. But the last thing they said, look at that. Well, Jesus, you must just be one of the prophets. Now, can I deal with that there? They'd rather fashion him after a prophet than to give him the recognition of being God. That's how folk are in your life. Yeah, Jesus is a prophet, but he ain't God. Then your pastor anointed, but he ain't all that. Yeah, you sing, but you didn't sing all that. Yeah, you can preach, but you know it ain't all that. People will say, yeah, you can do this, but you've not been anointed to do that. You've been gifted to do this, but not qualified to do that. And most of the time what they tell you you're not qualified to do is what they are intimidated of you becoming. Because they know if you ever realize who you are and you get in your place, it will be a reminder of where they should have been, where they could have been, and what God wanted to do for them. So before they allow you to get there, they'll talk you out of it. Yeah, you're anointed, but you ain't ready yet. Yeah, you can take care of kids, but God didn't say you're going to have no daycare yet. Yeah, you can buy a car, but you ain't ready for no Lexus yet. Yeah, you can get married, but God didn't promise you that. Slap somebody and say, you don't know what the Lord told me. Now the problem is you start listening to what everybody else said, and you forget what the Lord has said. At the end of the day, all that matters, in my conclusion, is I get ready to go down this highway. All that matters, like you ready to fly, I'm ready to fly with you. I'm a mountain with wings, as he howls, as he howls, as he howls. If there's anybody here that can say at the end of the day, all that matters is what the Lord said. Your problem is you begin to ponder what folks said, and then you sit there and say, well, maybe they are right. Well, maybe there's some validity to it. Slap somebody, say, I don't care how many folk are saying the same thing. All that matters is what the Holy Ghost said about you, said about me, said about my church, said about my leader. All that matters is what God said. Slap somebody and tell them one thing that God said about your life. Because you know what? Because someone say, well, Dunlap, crowd picks up and it dwindles off. Maybe you ought to go and come back again first of the year. The devil is a liar. Look at somebody and say, I know too much about him to doubt him. I'll stay. Look at somebody and say, I'm going to stay. Matter of fact, I ain't got a choice in the matter. And I'll close. Look at somebody and say, neighbor, all that matters is what God said. Now notice they didn't own Jesus as being the Messiah. You can turn me down and I'm done in a moment. They did not own Jesus as being the Messiah. But at the end of the day, he was still the I am that I am. So in the text, after the disciples say, some say, Jesus looks right at his disciples. And he asked, but who do you say that I am? Now Jesus knew they were somewhat confused because of what some say. If the truth be told, have you ever been saved but you got sidetracked because you heard so much of what other folk were saying about this man Jesus? You heard so many folk tell you so much about your decisions you made. But sometimes you got to tell folk the decision I made is not even up for debate. So now somebody say it ain't even up for debate. Matter of fact, I don't even care nothing about your opinion. Folk may have opinions. Some folk may say, I don't have to listen to what some say. I'm closing here. Jesus knew that the disciples were, I'm closing with this, they were somewhat confused because of what some say. But when you got so many people saying so much, when after they said, then that's when you need to have a boldness. You need to have spiritual tenacity to tell them what you see. But let me tell you a few things that I've seen about Jesus. Matthew, the first chapter. We find a man named Jesus was born of a virgin. Now, I don't care what you call him. He is the only entity that could step out of eternity. Step into time, look back at eternity and see himself still seated in eternity while standing in time. Slap somebody and say, that's what I said. He's the only God that could impregnate Mary without the help of Joseph. He could impregnate Mary, grow in the end of my shot, grow as a fetus in Mary while still seated on the throne. She begins to push, give birth to a baby. Doctor smacks him one time. He hollers, wow, wow, while still on the throne answering my prayer. What else have you seen about Jesus? Matthew, the 4th chapter. He rebuked Satan after 40 days. He was weak in his humanity, but he was strong in his deity. He's the only one that could be man and God at the same time. He's the only one that could speak to the storm and the same one that can sleep on the boat in the storm. Slap somebody and say, that's what I see. He's the only one, Matthew 8, 1 and 4, that could heal a leper. And after he healed the leper, he says, now go back and show yourself to the priest. Go back to the one that pronounced your ending and tell him it's just my beginning. He's the only one that could take my mess and turn it into a miracle. When the devil said it was over, he said it's only the beginning. How great is our God? He's the beginning and the ending and everything in between. Y'all ain't gonna help me, but I'm gonna close with now. Help me, musician. I'm gonna bring